All right.
Yeah. На английском будет, да?
Yes, yes. Okay, so before you wonder, I am trilingual. I speak Finnish. So any of you who speak Finnish, we can discuss later in after party, or we can drink until you speak Finnish. So anyway, I speak in Finnish, English, and Russian, but my Russian is horrible, especially when it comes to work. So if you don't mind, this talk will be in English, since this is my language for basically working every day.
Но мы
Alright?
поняли уже, что ты знаешь английский язык, давай на русском.
Okay, I'll stick to English though.
Че, серьезно не знаешь, что ли? Нет? Кто-нибудь переводить?
Чуток.
Чуток? Красавец.
So anyway, a little bit about myself. I started working with web development in 7th or 9th grade. I started programming originally in Finland when I was maybe 13, 14. And of course, since I have Russian background originally, the first thing that I ever created was a virus to take over the school network.
Все свои, нормально. Погнали.
So, once I discovered the web, I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to just do web and be really good at it. And when I was already in 11th grade in Finland, I was running a website that had about 500,000 active users, and I was making my first money with AdSense. It's still in the time when AdSense made a little bit of cash, not like today when you're getting pennies. Okay, so I'm a serial entrepreneur and I operate in 4 countries, but basically where I'm working day to day is Finland. My company works in 4 countries and established in 2010, and we're about 20 people personnel. We do basic PPC stuff for biggest companies in Scandinavia and handle their online marketing in 20 countries. But again, this is not why you came here for. Let's go to the interesting stuff. So basically, my idea is to get you to drop your CMS. Just like, take that WordPress installation and put it in the garbage where it belongs. So we'll talk about what are static sites. We'll talk about advantages, disadvantages. We'll talk about basically how to make a good static site. And we'll talk about Jamstack. Who here knows about Jamstack? Whoa! Kiev, hello! Jamstack! All right, anyway, then you are in the right place, right? Because you learn about Jamstack. So, let's see how this works. I don't have to explain to you how static sites work, right? You make a request, server returns a response, you get the payload, which is CMS, HTML, and so forth. Pretty simple, right? So, all websites before were static. When internet was created and when it was still part of the DARPA project, all websites were static. It was basically just HTML with links from one to another. That's all. And here is a good example. I had to dig up a good website that was made in 1996, and I put it through a load page tester. And what I found was pretty awesome. It loaded in 30 milliseconds. 30 milliseconds. This is something we can dream of only. It had a file size of 74 kilobytes. My cat pictures are more than that. It had only 22 requests. I can see it in my dream only when a website could have only 22 requests. All right? So, if you think about it, we are now entering, or we entered already long ago, era of CMS systems. Whatever you want, there is a CMS system for that. You want a dating website? Sure, there is some CMS system for that. You want e-commerce site? There are 400 million of those. You want a basic blog site? Sure. But CMS, basically the way it works is there is a request that comes to a server, and server executes a server-side application that talks to the database in most cases. So this is basically how CMS works. The content is stored in database, and the backend language does the template parsing and basically in real time creates HTML and so forth. So that's basically how dynamic sites work, and you're probably very well aware of that. And there are tons of different caching mechanisms and so forth to make a static version of your dynamic site. But if you think about it, I took WordPress as a good example. If you have a proper WordPress site, and we're not talking about your grandmother's blog or something similar, we're talking about proper website with hundreds, thousands of visitors. Your server stack probably consists of Nginx, which rocks. It consists of Varnish. How many of you heard of Varnish? Wow, we have a few system admins here, a few. Good, good. So Varnish is a really cool Scandinavian product. It's a free caching server that makes your site go really, really, really fast. So then we have Memcached, which stores your database content so you can quickly get the results. Then you have MySQL. Then you have something like PHP. And then you have, finally, on top of this garbage, you have WordPress. Okay, cool. So what sucks about this kind of stack? It's really, really, really hard to scale. Let's say we have a website, it's running on a really good server and so forth. And then all of a sudden, USA Today writes an article about your website. What happens? 200,000 visitors inside 20 minutes. Basically, your website just goes bananas. That's it. Not accessible anymore. And then you call your system admin, come on, you told me about this Varnish and all the other crap and nothing is working. So basically, it's really hard to scale, and most importantly, it's hard to scale because of the complexity. There are too many moving parts. You have to scale database, backend, so forth. So, security vulnerabilities, this is my favorite. How many of you ever had your client site hacked? Hacked. WordPress sites, Drupal, yes, yes. Many of you are like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything. We have perfect security, not about us. So anyway, in most cases, WordPress, Drupal, if you're not updating it, if you're not really good with security, it will be hacked sooner or later. And especially now, when you can have things like VP scan. There is a program called VP scan that can scan any WordPress and tell you that there are these kind of holes, and this is how you get in. So you can just start VP scan on all the websites in your category and see where you can get in. Basically, it's getting ridiculously easy. And clients, you know your clients, come on. Do they update their website? Pfft, who cares? That's their attitude. But when something breaks, who they gonna call? Ghostbusters. So anyway, security sucks. Also, it's very time-consuming to maintain, which means that you have to update the site. And when you update the site, you have to do backups. You have to do database backups. You have to update your database. You have to update your Varnish, Nginx. You have to update your SSL certificate, and so forth and so forth. So this is all of the tasks you have to do on monthly basis. And again, you know, when you talk to technology guys, I think the best ones are the ones who create so that everything is automatic and they don't have to do anything. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that static sites in these current, basically, trends are coming back, and they're coming big time, really big. We're gonna make static sites great again. Nobody got the Trump reference, okay. Anyway, going to politics, Obama's donation campaign website, fundraising campaign, was made on Jekyll. It's a stupid name for a really cool software that generates static websites. But imagine this. It's a website, static website, powered by a static site generator called Jerkle, and it raised about $250 million for Obama. If you ask Obama, he loves static websites. So, anyway, it had over 4 million donations, and it had over 81 million page views. And it was placed on Akamai CDN, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest CDN in USA. It was version controlled with GitHub and so forth. But most importantly, why it was made on static platform is because every time Obama spoke somewhere, at a rally or somewhere similar, he always said, and remember, if you want to support me, go to blah, blah, blah.obama.com, and then, boom, traffic went up like crazy. And then again, for 2 weeks, it was like few thousand people visiting the website. Again, he talks, comes up. And if you have a WordPress or Drupal, you cannot really be prepared for this until you invest a lot into infrastructure. So why develop static websites? Easier to develop. Well, since it's static, you only need front end to get started, basically, right? You don't have to integrate it into back-end system. It's easy to scale because, well, it's a static website. You can scale it with CDN, and I'll talk about it a bit soon. Secure by default. If you think about it, what they're gonna hack? Your HTML? They're gonna find out all your CSS classes. I mean, come on. It's cheap to host. If you think about it, if you really want a powerful server for your Drupal and, God forbid, LiveRay or something similar, you will pay hundreds, in some cases thousands of dollars for managed software installation for your server and for server upkeep. But with static websites, it's all easy. Quick to load. This is very important for you guys who are practicing SEO internationally. Your site loading really quickly around the world is really important if you have a very global product. Okay, and application layer, so basically the logic, it can be moved to the front end, so you still are not losing a lot of things that you would be otherwise doing in back end. Okay, so how can we create a good static website? First, we need a static site generator. So every time you change something in the content, you click a button, and static site generator generates all of the website. You have basically templates and content. And you have a static site generator. Every time that content changes, it generates the whole website again. And if you think about it, you can think, well, that might be really, really slow for really big websites, but static site generators like Hugo can generate 20, 30,000 HTML pages in a second or two. So it's not really a problem. So if you think about it, if you think about WordPress, you go to admin panel, you add a blog post, you press save, and that's it. It's visible to the world. In static site generators, you add the content, you press build the website, and now it's ready. It's very similar in that sense. And then you have CSS, HTML, and static site generator uses those to combine it into HTML files and end result, basically, that gets uploaded to the server. And then, basically, if you're starting out, there are 3 big players in static site generators. Jerkle, the Obama campaign was made with Jerkle. Hugo, one that we like. And there is Hexo, if you like JavaScript and you like Node.js and so forth. So, first thing, you have to have version control because, well, if you're not using version control, then you fail by default anyway. So you can have things like Bitbucket to host your content for free. Basically, you could have a version control in Bitbucket for free for your team. And then every time you commit a change to your repository, the system will generate a new version of the website again automatically. So it all works around content, around version control. Hosting. This is the fun part. So there are many ways to host your static website. So once you picked static site generator and you're searching for a hosting provider, I don't really suggest using traditional hosting providers because they suck and they want to host everything. They want to host Drupal and this and that. They don't have many features built in specially for static sites. So there are many different options. You can go with Google Cloud Storage, which rocks. With Amazon S3, rocks too. You can use Rackspace Cloud, Microsoft Azure, or you can go, and I suggest that route anyway, you can go with a static site hosting provider. And they specialize, especially with working with static site generators. So Netlify is probably the leader currently. So they have all the infrastructure for hosting your static site. But if you have a static site, you are losing some functionality because it's static. And we are going to talk about replacing it with front-end facing functionality. So site search. If you don't have backend, how are you going to do site search? You have many alternatives, and you can redirect person to the Google using site operator and let him search there. That's the simplest and not really best solution, but still acceptable. You can use Google custom search engine, which spiders your website, and you can have a search box that is based by Google, and Google provides the results. It costs about $100 a year, so it's not really expensive. Or you can use ad search, which I personally like, and it's awesome. It's a live search that is predictive, it understands spelling errors, and it displays visual results. Really, really cool. Only 29 something USD a month, so not really gonna break your bank. And you can do, if you have good developers, you can develop your own search called DUI. And you can use things like Lunar and Believe and so forth. And they are free, but you have to do custom coding and so forth. You can have comments with Discuss, which you probably all know. You can also have web shops. A lot of times customer says, no, we have a web shop, we don't really need a static website. We want the whole shebang. We want WooCommerce and grandma's payment service and whatnot. So you can have shopping carts that are front-facing, things like Equid, Snipcart, or you can move your old web shop to a separate subdomain and have the web shop there, and everything else you can do with static sites. So with Equid, you could have a website that uses JavaScript to embed the shop in your store, or you can do Snipcart, which allows you to customize the shopping experience, but still it's all front-facing, all in front end, so it doesn't require any kind of backend. You basically paste a small code, modify a few JavaScript parameters, and that's it. You have a cart, you have everything. And if you have forms, you can use FormSpree, which is free, and get contact form up and running in like 20 seconds. You can use Google Forms, they work, but they are ugly. And you can use Woohoo! And that is basically a service that you can basically easily create forms and embed them and so forth. And you can use Typeform. I love Typeforms because they're so easy to use. They are also free to get started. And content delivery network. How many of you heard of Cloudflare? Okay, we have a few. And Netlify. Well, now you heard because I mentioned it, but okay. So with Cloudflare and Netlify, you can get a content delivery network. So every time you push your static site to the server, it gets copied all over the world. So if you have a customer who comes from Australia, he will get that file from Australian server, not from, Finnish, American, or whatever server. It will have a local copy at the edge server. And Cloudflare and Netlify, they are free to get started. Also, Netlify and Cloudflare provide free SSL, and they also renew the SSL by themselves. So you don't have to even deal with that. And if you heard of Let's Encrypt, which you probably have heard, they use Let's Encrypt beneath, so they just generate it and make it simpler for you. And speaking of SEO, there is pre-rendering for search engines on platforms like Netlify. So Google has been saying that, don't do pre-rendering, there is no need for that. We really understand JavaScript well now. It's not really true. There's still some issues, but if you enable pre-rendering, if you have a one-page website, it can generate static versions of your sub-pages. That way you get distinct meta tags, you get distinct title tags, and so forth. And then, this is the most, probably biggest disadvantage of static websites. You get your admin or your copywriter, and he says, well, that's great. We have CDN, we have SSL, we have search, and so forth, but I don't know HTML. How I'm going to edit content? Well, there are awesome things like Surreal CMS. This is really great admin panel. Basically what it does, it goes to your server via FTP, and all the content that you mark, you can edit. User can log in to Surreal and edit that content as they see the page. So basically, it's a CMS that sits on top of static website. And it works with any static website as long as Surreal can access it via FTP. You have Forestry. This is the one that we use. It automatically understands which parts should be edited and which should not, and it provides a beautiful interface. And every time user saves a change, code gets committed to the GitHub, for example, and then a new version of your site gets built.
1 minute.
Yes, very good. And then there is Prose, as I mentioned, and basically the future of the web as it is Jamstack. Jamstack means that you have JavaScript logic, you use servers only as API, and you manage your content in Markdown. And this is our Jamstack, where we have Netlify, Cloudant for database, and we have Hugo, Gulp, JSLint, and so forth. So you can see here what is Jamstack in our company. But here is latest example. I will not go over my time. We have a company called Overring that is our client, and they raised about maybe 2.5 million creating the first computer that sits on your ring and measures your temperature. And we went from about 5-second average to about 1.1 second average anywhere around the world, with payload of the website being 3 to 10 times bigger. So that is it. Hopefully I made it in time.
И давайте аплодисменты, дорогие друзья. Вот как бывает в жизни, да? Вроде чисто украинское имя и украинская фамилия Артем Данилянц. Но почему-то на английском языке. Что я хочу сказать? Ребят, охеренный доклад, правильно? Охеренный. Perfect report.
Спасибо.
Yeah?
Да-да.
Охеренный доклад. Perfect report. Ну давайте, прежде чем мы сейчас пригласим очередного нашего спикера, мы нашего украинца Хохла здесь послушаем, как бы позадаем ему вопросы. Друзья, кто что понял? Ах, ты тоже понял, да? То есть русский язык знаешь, да, брат?
Я знаю достаточно,
Так.
чтобы говорить дома, но недостаточно, чтобы презентовать.
А что ж ты нам сегодня здесь исполнял на английском?
Ну, свой рабочий доклад.
Слушай, я сейчас готов Диму Шахова просто убрать, и ты на русском языке сейчас это расскажешь. А? Ребят, поднимите, пожалуйста, руки, кто понял, что у нас Артем говорил. Оставляем. Ладно, вопросы.
Можно?
Кто?
Тут.
Представься вот по центру.
Ага.
Hello, my name is Victor. So,
Ближе микрофон.
yeah, thank you for
Он
speech.
русский знает, давай на русском.
Хорошо. Вопрос в том, что вот я как действительно был поклонником действительно всех CMS,
Так,
Почти
вопрос.
получилось меня переубедить. Вопрос в том, что вы рассказали, что есть много вот сервисов, которые мы должны подключить дополнительно для поиска, для комментариев, для форм и так далее. В то же время мы боремся за безопасность этого сайта. Есть ли риск того, что подключив эти сервисы, мы уменьшаем уровень безопасности нашего сайта, что через них нас все-таки тоже могут взломать? Спасибо.
Окей.
На русском?
Да, попробую.
Давай.
Окей. Ну, если подумать, то сервисы, которые я упомянул, они не требуют никаких доступов на ваш сайт. AdSearch, например, просто индексирует. Да. Ваш сайт и никакого поиска не имеет, он имеет такой же доступ, как и Google. То есть что могут сломать? Ну, ваш search индекс. Пусть ломают. А Disqus, ну, там имплементация через JavaScript просто, что там можно ломать? Ну, опять-таки. И что еще я говорил? Netlify. Ну, если Netlify хакнут, то Netlify имеет только public access keys для деплоймента в GitHub. Они увидят ваш контент в GitHub, но не смогут ничего делать.
Чистейший суржик, ребят. Вот реально, конкретно. Так, следующий вопрос. Ну ты встань, пожалуйста.
Уже давно.
Встань, давай.
Артем, скажите, пожалуйста.
Как тебя зовут и какую
Виталина,
компанию?
компания Бизико. Артем, скажите, пожалуйста, какие недостатки могут быть у статических сайтов и какие были в вашей практике?
Ну, недостатки, наверное, в...
Может, на английском, если...
Я буду пробовать варьировать между языками. Ну вот, перейду на финский, если буду совсем не понимать.
Финский — это как эстонский, он медленный, понимаешь?
Да. Так же, как люди,
Ну,
сами, которые
как
там
и в
живут.
сексе, да, медленно.
Ну вот, наверное, самая большая проблема — это если уже есть существующий сайт на бэкэнде написанный, и клиент в него инвестировал много, и есть какой-то очень специфический функционал. Если представим, например, представим какой-нибудь веб-аппликейшн или что-нибудь, и ты говоришь типа клиенту: окей, давай перепишем на статик с помощью там CloudAnta, CouchDB и так далее. Это то же самое, что начать с нуля. Но это, наверное, самый большой недостаток. Но если подумать, как бы сейчас столько много фронт-энд сервисов, как я уже сказал, AdSearch, Disqus, Snipcart и так далее, что очень мало функционала уже нужно писать на бэкэнде. Ну вот, поэтому, наверное, самый большой минус то, что плохой разработчик не сможет сделать хороший статик-сайт.
И посоветуй совет.
Совет? Не берите плохих разработчиков.
Нет. Ну слушай, Обычно это евреи говорят, но ты же, реальный фин, посоветуй девушке, единственный первый вопрос за сегодняшний день от девушки, посоветуй, куда, как пойти, что сделать?
Как пойти, что сделать?
Давай, на английском.
Сейчас, я попробую. Можно немножко выиграть хитростью таким образом, что если у вас есть динамический уже сайт, то можно быть хитрым и его скинуть на сабдомейн и закрыть полностью от индексации и так далее.
Пример приведи. Пример.
Понятно.
Test.com.
Это для тебя пример или для нее?
Не, тут еще 270 сидят.
Но они все поняли.
Все поняли?
Да.
Да? Давайте поаплодируем тогда ответу. Ладно, продолжаем дальше. Давайте вопросы нашего...
Так вот, если у вас есть сайт, вы можете его кинуть на сабдомейн, закрыть полностью от всего индексации и так далее, использовать wp-get или что-то такое, делать mirror статический и его использовать как статик сайт. Таким образом, у вас старый бэкэнд, все по-старому, но у вас как бы по идее статический сайт.
Представляете, как его поперло на русском языке-то, блядь? А перед вами он сейчас 30 минут на английском-то, а? Эх ты!
Эх я.
Хохол. Так, ладно. Следующий вопрос.
У меня есть вопрос.
Здесь. Давай. Быстро. Вопрос. Представляйся и вопрос.
Александр, да, меня зовут. На плохом WordPress у нас есть такие...
Ближе микрофон.
У нас на плохом WordPress есть такие чудесные плагины, как V3 Total Cache, который, по сути, делает нам статические страницы, которые мы можем захостить на том же CDN и получить все то же самое, только с админкой, которую понимают редактора, копирайтеры и с тем функционалом, который есть. В чем минусы такого решения по сравнению со статическими сайтами?
Ну, ваша админка открыта на весь мир.
Так. Он говорит, не факт.
Не факт. В чем проблема залочить доступ в админ-панель по IP-адресу для какого-то статического IP, который находится в VPN или в офисе?
Ну, это, скажем так, это...
It's basics of security. It's not,
Ого.
no, it's not rocket science.
Да-да-да.
Переведи.
Но я бы сказал так, что все равно куча плагинов, и мне кажется, что в WordPress часто пытаются делать сайты, которые не созданы для блогов. WordPress же для блогов. И если как бы ты хочешь все эти костыли с собой таскать как бы из одну версию в другую и так далее, это окей. Но мне кажется, что, конечно, если уже существует WordPress сайт, там можно много нахимичить, чтобы сделать его более-менее окей. Но это как, не знаю, там умирающему там ластер сделать или что-нибудь. Но все равно, мне кажется, что статический сайт, когда ты делаешь проект с нуля, гораздо лучший вариант, потому что, опять-таки, а что, если у тебя плагины будут не конфликтовать в будущем, новая версия? Вышел новый WooCommerce и сломал все. То есть такой проблемы у тебя не будет.
Не.
Нет.
Давай это уже будем обсуждать после, когда у нас уже будет
На
обеденный
автопате,
перерыв.
Snipcart.
Есть еще вопрос, последний? Все, давай.
Hello, I'm Max.
Как зовут?
Максим. You just show us full stack of technologies which can help to generate static sites.
Yeah.
And my question is, in terms of SEO, can I integrate and use Google cloaking for Google with these old technologies?
You mean Google cloaking or what?
Cloaking technology for Google.
Yeah, basically what you're trying to say, you will serve different version of your site for Google, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that, and basically pre-rendering already does that. So when you pre-render a site, it creates a separate version for Google with all meta tags and so forth. So you can do that. And with Netlify, you have geo IP and also agent-based redirection, so you can redirect them to a different version of your content.
Are you talking that Netlify is like Apache for JavaScript?
Netlify is a continuous integration and hosting and CDN and asset acceleration service. So it's basically like many services packaged into one.
Okay, thanks.
Только что, дорогие друзья, для вас была продемонстрирована возможность общаться на английском языке с носителем английского языка. Да. Спасибо вам обоим, пацаны. Вы, я думаю, друг друга поняли. Давайте аплодисменты! Красавец, молодец!